Hi everyone, back with another Gaffr video for you. Myself and at Stoke Gaffr or Kyle. So we'll just have a chat about the rest of the season. Really, slightly different formats to what we've done before. Obviously, only a few games left for most teams. So yeah, a bit about our plans for the last few weeks, and then just a general chat about the season to round off, I think. So, hi Kyle.
Hi Martin. Yeah, and I thought we could just have a look at our teams and plan for the next 3 game weeks, and see what we can do to finish the season and end on a high, and then we can discuss the season as a whole and what we think of the game and moving forward to next season. So yeah, I've shared my screen. This is a different format to what we've previously done, but I think it might work better so we can have a look at our team, our teams for the last 3 game weeks. So I've got the fixtures up here, and it's a bit of a mixed bag for a few teams, particularly in the top 6. You look at the teams that you're most likely to own players from. They've got mixed fixtures to finish the season. Brentford have, of course, the double game week in game week 44, which is coming up. So they're very interesting for 44, but then they walk into Watford straight after. So they're an interesting team. And they haven't been in great form over the past 7 game weeks. They've only won 1 in the last 7 and are drawing a lot of games. But Thomas Frank says that he's happy to stick with the formation. They've been playing a 3-5-2 formation, and he says that they are improving under that formation. So that's interesting. So Barnsley as well, managers might be on the double up or the triple up for Barnsley, and their fixtures are mixed. Again, they seem to get more difficult over the 3 game weeks. Rotherham, Preston, and then Norwich to finish the season. So Norwich might be on the beach then, but so will Barnsley possibly if their top 6 places confirmed. And then Bournemouth also difficult fixtures either side of Wickham. As a Stoke fan, probably a medium fixture, let's say, at the moment. Stoke have been in poor form, but we can defend well. So yeah, it's kind of not a good fixture, but not a bad fixture either. So they're the main ones that stand out, and Swansea as well. Reading away could be a difficult fixture depending on which Reading turns up. And then they also have Watford on the final day of the season, but that might not matter too much in the race for the automatic places, as Watford might have that confirmed by game week 46. And the other team to talk about is Reading, who are still chasing, but it's looking less and less likely that they will reach the top 6. Unfortunately, Martin, as a Reading fan, I'm sure you're very disappointed at the decline of Reading over the season.
Yeah, it's petered out a bit. I saw a stat today which I wasn't aware of until today, but it does make sense that we've used less players than any other team in the Championship this season. We've spoken about it before, haven't we? That when our first 11 isn't available, we do struggle. Yeah, we've just had too many injuries, especially.
It's been very rare that you've had that strongest 11 all available at once.
Yeah.
I follow someone who's follows Reading from an analytics perspective, and he says that there hasn't been a time this season that your strongest 11 have all been fit, which is quite unfortunate. And like I say, with the lack of squad depth, it's been difficult, particularly in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think in the second half of the season, it's been the centre half injuries that have really killed us. Tom Holmes looked a good prospect, but yeah, playing him every week isn't ideal. Lewis Gibson on loan from Everton has been a disaster. Really, I can't wait for him. It's hard to say that about a young player, but he just hasn't worked out at all. He's not been good enough. We are in poor form, and I don't hold out much hope for our remaining fixtures. I think the Swansea game has got 0-0 written all over it, and then that'll be us done, I think.
Yeah, if it looks likely that Barnsley might have top six wrapped up this game week, if Reading fail to beat Swansea, who are also very much it's a very important game for them to stay in the playoffs and keep the hopes up of finishing the automatic places. So if Barnsley beats Rotherham, which is expected, and Reading don't win at Swansea, then that could be wrapped up, which is interesting in terms of Gaffr, because then Barnsley might be looking to rotate their starting 11 and keep the team fresh for the playoffs, which I've bared in mind for my team as a plan for the last 3 game weeks. So I've set my team up already for the game week that is just coming up, which is game week 44. And I've taken a -4 to get 2 Brentford players in for their double game week. So I've sold Tommy Smith of Stoke for Rasmussen, who's been playing as right wing back for Brentford in their new 3-5-2 formation. So I expect him to at least start both of their games, although he has been subbed off in the last 2. But I'm hoping that that was due to Brentford pushing for the winning goal as they were drawing in both of those games. So if the game was different, if Brentford were winning those games, I'd like to think that Rasmussen would stay on the pitch for the full 90 and be able to get the second half clean sheet for playing 75 minutes. And the other transfer I made was to sell Joe Rothwell, who was another one of my punts, really, for a team that was maybe not popular in the game, but had good fixtures. But again, that hasn't really worked out. Joe Rothwell's been in and out of the team. I think he got injured a few game weeks ago and has only just come back and hasn't established a starting place. But Tariq Fosu has come into my team for again as part of the -4 with the double game week away at Bournemouth and at home to Rotherham. And I see the double game week as a good fixture at home to Rotherham against a team that look doomed for the drop, let's say. And I very much expect Brentford to win that game quite comfortably. Especially with the amount of games that Rotherham have had to play in the last few weeks as they catch up with the games that were postponed. So yeah, Tariq Fosu has been playing as a number 10 and is very cheap. I think he's only 4.9 in the game. Starting now pretty much every game as a number 10. He looks nailed to play both games in a double game week. So yeah, he seemed like a good transfer. And I think this is the last game week where you can take a -4 and expect to make a point gain from doing so. So yeah, this is my team to line up for game week 44. I've played my goal fest, and I was supposed to play it in game week 40 when my team scored 7 goals in total. But I forgot to click the button and activate Goalfest, so I've needed to play it in this game week instead. And I've got Tony as captain, which seems like a no-brainer with those two fixtures. And Tony has been off the wheel, but I expect him to get back to scoring ways this game week. And my vice captain is Daryl DK, who is playing for a Barnsley team that is chasing the top 6, and I expect him to play 90 minutes now that Dominic Fraser is out injured. So there's only 5 forwards to compete for the 3 forward places, but we know how important Daryl DK is in the Barnsley team, so I expect him to start and be a key player in that favourable fixture against Rotherham. So I've played the vice captain on Daryl DK. What do you think of that?
Nice. Yeah, it's not too dissimilar from my team actually. I think Armstrong. You're gonna need Blackburn to turn up, aren't you? So one of the things I noted before was, Blackburn have only won 3 of their last 18. It's just as well that he was smashing them in at the start of the season, isn't it? Because they've been in relegation for a long time now. So hopefully they can get themselves up for the last couple of games for you. But
yeah, I'm not expecting much from Blackburn. I think that Blackburn's form has put me off putting the vice captain on Armstrong.
Yeah.
I only really transferred him in because Pukki had that injury, that knee injury, which I thought was worse than what it was. And Pukki also had the tough fixture against Watford, so I thought it was a good time to get Armstrong in for his good fixtures to finish the season. But you're right. I mean, the 1-0 loss to Sheffield Wednesday team that looked like they're going to get relegated just sums up Blackburn in the second half of the season. So yeah, I might be looking to get rid of Armstrong in the last 2 game weeks. And also Daryl DK, unfortunately, if Barnsley do wrap up the top 6 place after this game week, I can see him being rotated in the last 2 fixtures. So yeah, I mean, the transfers that I have planned, if we go through my planned transfers for the last 2 game weeks of the season, I'm planning on selling Daryl DK for Teemu Pukki and getting Pukki back into my team for his last 2 game weeks, which are against Reading and the final day against Barnsley. So, not the best fixtures, but I do I would back Pukki to score in both of those games.
They could. Oh, sorry, mate. I was just going to say they could both effectively be dead rubbers, couldn't they? And crazy things can happen in those games at the end of the season. So it's one of those where the end of the season, what's gone before probably goes out the window a little bit, doesn't it? You get funny score lines at the end, especially when both teams have already done what they need to do for the season.
And also, you'd favour Norwich in those games anyway. When those games are very open and frantic, it's usually Norwich that comes up on top anyway in those games. And they attack so well, and Buendia and Pukki on the counter attack are great to watch, and very prolific as they have been over the season for all their goals and assists. So. Yeah, I want to get Pukki back into my team. Although I was between Pukki and Dominic Solanke, who we know has just scored and laid on 2 assists against Millwall. But I feel more comfortable with Pukki in my team just for how good he's been over the season. 25 goals for Pukki this season, compared to Solanke's 15. So I mean, it's quite a big gap, and Pukki's only started one more. So I just have more faith in Pukki over Solanke, and I know that Solanke hasn't. Bournemouth in general have improved under Woodgate, but I had a look earlier to see if Solanke's stats in terms of goal and assist returns had improved, and I wasn't sure they really did. It's only 5 goals and 4 assists for Solanke over the 13 games that Woodgate has been in charge, which is around his season average. It's Arno Danjuma that's benefited most from Woodgate being in charge, with 9 goals and 5 assists in that time. So yeah, as good as Bournemouth have been, I'm still on. I still prefer Pukki to Solanke. And then my final transfer of the season is likely to be, again, due to Barnsley's likely rotation, if they are to have that top 6 confirmed by game week 46. I'm looking to sell Callum Britton. And if we look at the last game week of the season, I picked out Cardiff v Rotherham as a likely clean sheet. So I'll be looking to transfer in Cardiff defender Perry Ng, who comes in at just 5.7. So yeah, very affordable for my team. And yeah, I'll be looking to play 4-3-3 for the remaining 3 games of the season. And yeah, I mean, I like the fact that I have the safety of having players that have performed well over the season. So if we look at the top performers in terms of points over the season, I have Woodman in goal, who is the top scoring goalkeeper. The 2 top defenders in Connor Roberts and Max Aarons. The 2 top scoring midfielders in Buendia and Danjuma. And I will also have the top 3 forwards going into the last 2 game weeks of the season, which I do like. I like the safety that gives me, that it won't go too wrong back in the top performers over the season.
That's nice. The fact you're able to do that this late in the season shows how well you've managed your squad through the season with the price movements. I doubt there's many people that are able to cobble that together at this point, because it would just be too expensive, I would think. But
I mean, I've owned a few of those for a while, but yeah, I mean, it just so happens I've managed to get the top scoring goalkeeper in, as well as Roberts and Aarons, who were obvious picks for the majority of the season, and I've been able to get on them. I was able to get on them quite easy, quite early on in the season. So I've had a lot of their points, which has helped. I missed out on Buendia's points at the start of the season. I was very late to get on to Buendia, but yeah, I was happy to transfer him in when I did. And luckily it wasn't too late. And yeah, I'm now looking to get into the top 50 overall. I'm now 55th. So I'm hoping with those transfers and my goal fest to play this game week, with Tony having the double game week. We know how well he did in the last double game week that he had against Reading and Millwall, which were more difficult fixtures than the one he's got coming up. He hauled in both of those games and managed to get a huge score as captain in that game week. So I'm hoping for the same in this game week coming up, and hopefully I can get into the top 50, which is my main aim. Yeah, and then looking to build on that next season.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I think you're going to finish at the top 50 with your chip and that team. I'd be surprised if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, you never know this game. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the teams around me, what chips they have, but yeah, I'm hoping I've got just enough left in tank to push into the top 50. So yeah, I mean, we'll leave my team and move on to yours, and
Okay.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you want to talk me through your transfers for the last 3 game weeks.
Okay. Let's get it up. Okay, is that comment come through all right, Kyle?
Yeah, I can see the screen now.
So I've made my transfers this week. So I've brought in Danjuma and Feminia this week. So a bit late to the party with Danjuma. Danjuma, really. I think that was a little bit of me just hoping that Bournemouth wouldn't do too well under Jonathan Woodgate, and Reading might finish above them, but he's really smashed it. 7 in a row they've won now, and as Carl mentioned, Danjuma has been by far. Well, I say by far, Stanky's done okay, but Danjuma has really stood out under Woodgate. So I'm in for these last few games. Hopefully, you can get me some points. I got Johansson in goal, so I bought Johansson in for the. I played my Jeepers Keepers chip a couple of weeks ago when they had the treble game week, along with the Huddersfield keeper. So I think that was the best possible combination. So I was happy with that. So I think he can stay in goal for the rest of the season. So Rotherham have got 5 games left to play. So most people have only got 3 or 4. So I think that's okay. You know, hopefully you can pick up some save points, some half clean sheets. I think with the extra fixtures they've got, the goalkeeper, if anyone, is probably the one to stick with. And Smith this week, I'll keep him for the double, and then he'll probably be my transfer out next week. Don't hold too much faith in that. So yeah, Danjuma and Feminia in for me this week. So Feminia, Watford's fixture stood out to me this week, really. They are at home to Millwall. Millwall in pretty poor form. Watford smashing it. Obviously, they need to try and secure that second place. They're not quite there yet. And I couldn't get to Sarr without losing Wendia. And João Pedro has let me down so much this season. I couldn't do it. So I thought, okay, let's just get a defender in. And he has picked up some attacking returns along the way. So hoping for a clean sheet plus from Feminia. And some stuff from Danjuma this week. And then, yeah, as Kyle, as you said, I think Tony is the obvious captain this week, really, with his double. And then I think Swansea Reading, I think that's got 0-0 written all over it. We've been playing with real lack of intensity over the last few weeks. I think I don't think it's lack of desire or passion. I don't buy into that. You know, of course the players want it, but I think we're just running out of steam. Swansea's games are often pretty tight. They're gearing up for a playoff campaign. I think there's a good chance that game could be 0-0. So that's my team this week. Not too happy with Smith up there, but apart from that, I think it's okay. And then moving forward, I think Smith can go next week. So game week 45. If it wants to move, impatient, clicked it twice. Game week 45. I think to me it's a bit of a punt. It's a little bit to see what happens this week. You know, who's done what they need to do for the season. What are the dead rubbers? But I think you know, someone, if something like Coventry are in good form, that could be a dead rubber. As I said before, these end of season games, they can just crazy things can happen. Maybe something like that, or Rotherham if they've kept themselves in it. Maybe I keep Smith. It's a tough one. I don't know what to do next week, basically, as well.
Yeah, I mean, there is an argument to just wait
to
see what happens this game week and then assess the table and what it looks like going into the last two or even the last game week of the season. But I do think that everything will be wrapped up by the last game week in terms of the top two, the top six, and the bottom three. I think that they will all be confirmed by the last game week. So that might just be a case of picking out the best fixture for game week 46. But game week 45 is a little bit more difficult.
I think it's a tough one. I think I prefer your team to mine because you've kind of already lined up those 3 premium spots that I haven't got. So as you said, you can finish the season just with the best players, that have performed through the season, and you don't need to worry too much about what the fixture is. You've just got the players that you can rely on, and I'm not quite in that position. But yeah, I mean, one thing we didn't mention is that Rotherham have got 2 doubles, haven't they? So they've got a double this week and next week. I know I said about the goalkeeper, they've got more games, but so I don't know, maybe Smith with 2 doubles in a row, it might not be terrible. Tough one. And then
I mean, Joe Hansen you can leave in there, like you say, for the 2 doubles and the last game week of the season. I mean, Cardiff isn't the worst last fixture either. They don't score too many goals, so
so that's it really. I mean, my season's petered out a little bit. Such as it was. I started late. I played the Winter League, and then I've kind of been messing about a bit with it for the last few weeks. But and this is the state that it's ended up in, going for the differential rather than trying to sustain a talent.
How have you found the game this season? How have you adapted to Gaffr? I know it's very different to Champman and FPL.
Yeah, it is. So I started in game week 16, and it probably took me 4 or 5 weeks to really get a grip of it, in terms of the bonus points, how that works, kind of thinking about half clean sheets, because that can be quite important. If you're thinking about teams like Swansea, it's getting into that mentality of not just thinking, will they keep a clean sheet? You've also got to think, well, even if they don't, they are quite likely to at least keep a clean sheet in one half. Like things like that, it takes a bit of time to get a grip of and think what teams it suits and what teams it doesn't. So it probably took me 4 or 5 weeks to get going, but really enjoyed it. So I probably got grips with it just in time for the Winter League that they did. So that was really good for someone like me, because it kept me interested, through a fairly long period, rather than just thinking, oh, I'll leave it now and come back next season, and did pretty well in that. So so looking forward to start again next season. Really, it'd be interesting, what changes they make, if any.
I found it really interesting playing. I'm the kind of fantasy football manager that likes to think deep and hard about my team from week to week. So learning a new scoring system and a new bonus system has been great for me. I've really enjoyed. It's been frustrating, of course, when it doesn't go well, and when you've picked the wrong players, as I did early on in the season. I think I started with 3 centre backs in my team, which I learnt wasn't the optimal way to play the game. You need to be looking for wing backs and full backs that are going to get up field and get you those bonus points from attacking play, which is what I learnt, as well as obviously the scoring system favouring defenders over midfielders. Defenders have been very important over the season, so much so that I learnt to play a 5-2-3, and I think that's the way I adapted to Gaffr as opposed to FPL when you played, 4 midfielders.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's the main way that I've adapted to Gaffr and the scoring system, is to play 5 defenders. But yeah, I think it's been I found it difficult earlier on in the season, having been so used to playing FPL, to adapt to a new game entirely. Has found it challenging, but also, it's enjoyable as well because it's a totally different game. But what I would say is so that the FPL crowd that are now moving to Gaffr don't get too frustrated with it. I do think that tweaks need to be made in the midfield area to make midfielders a little better in the game as point scorers, so that defenders aren't scoring more points on average from week to week.
Yeah.
So if I could just share my screen again. I was just going to go through the top point scorers this season, and show the difference between defenders and midfielders, because it's quite interesting. So yeah, I mean the main difference being that defenders get the half clean sheet points, so 2 points per half in Gaffr, which you don't get in FPL, and also midfielders don't get the clean sheet points. So there's 2 reasons for defenders to score more points, and you could also argue that the performance bonus also favours wing backs over, your central midfielders or attacking midfielders, because your wing backs get up the pitch and firing crosses from attacking positions, which contributes towards the bonus. They might also get shots on target, as well as the defensive side of the game. So yeah, a culmination of all those things make defenders better than midfielders. So yeah, the change that I would make is to maybe reverse some of those points to make midfielders better by giving midfielders the clean sheet point.
Yeah.
And I think that would make a difference to improve the point scoring of midfielders. Maybe a tweak to the formations, so you don't default to 5-2-3, because it's not really a football formation. 5-2-3, it's very negative, and yeah, I think it leads you to being a negative fantasy football manager, to back clean sheets over attacking returns, which isn't as enjoyable as backing attacking players to get you attacking returns.
Yeah.
So that's the main tweak I would make to the game.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. I think, don't disagree. I think the other thing for me is kind of away from the game mechanics is, the the website, keeping that up to date, and the Twitter as well. I think for it to grow, things like tweets before the deadline would be great, because I've seen people getting frustrated because they miss deadlines when they don't see there's a Friday night game and the website hasn't been updated and things like that. I think, obviously it's in its infancy, so it's understandable. But yeah, just little things like that I think would make a big difference. Maybe goal alerts, that might be a big ask. Just things like that get you a bit more engaged with it on a game day, I think would go a long way to attracting new people, and keeping them on board as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that that with the game growing so much, and managers were kind of understood that it was a new game, and it was in its infancy, that it's not going to be like FPL. It's not going to have the same user experience, or the website's not going to be as advanced, and I kind of took that as a given when I started. But the more that game grows next season, and thousands more people sign up, they come to expect a better run website, maybe, than a more automated website than what it currently is. And I know they've struggled with updating new players to the game that have moved clubs in the Championship.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they'll figure out a solution to that, because it does impact the players that are available on the game, and I presume also the performance bonus, and being able to see accurate points in the match center, and in the overall points is can be a big thing as well. And if players aren't available in the game, you're not going to be able to see the points that they've been able to get. So I think maybe making the player transfers a kind of semi-automated thing, like with the points, would really improve the game next season.
Yeah, I think especially as well, hopefully if the world gets back to normal, you can't rely on just people staying on top of it for themselves like people have done this season. There's been a lot of the community sort of helping each other with staying on top of the kind of news that hasn't been updated in the site, I feel. And to expect people to sort of stay on top of it in that way once the world's back to normal, I think might be, it will be off-putting for people, because they'll just, I haven't got time for this. It needs to be all up to date. And as I say, as things like alerts, not everybody's going to be sat home on a Saturday afternoon watching Soccer Saturday anymore. So they'll want to be able to see quickly sort of what's happening. Yeah, I probably will be as well. Do you know what I mean? Like for the masses, if you like, if you're just getting those Twitter notifications, like when one, the goal alert, and you can see how your team's getting on without always having to come back to the website. I think things like that are going to be important.
Yeah, and I think what comes with that is having a bigger team working on the website. And I'd happily volunteer to update bits in the website to keep the game running as smoothly as possible, and to make sure that the deadlines are correct, that the right players play for the right teams, and things like that. It does make a difference. So yeah, I think they need maybe more manpower next season to help the game to develop as it grows, and gets more managers on board, as I'm sure it will from the FPL. I keep seeing loads of new Gaffr accounts popping up here and there, and ready for next season, and I'm sure it'll keep growing, and there'll be a lot more managers playing Gaffr next season. So yeah, I'm excited, and
me too. It's great. Obviously, we're talking about improvements, but let's let's get it right. Let's have it right as well. If this is the first season, then it is fantastic. It is fantastic. It's a great start, to put it mildly, isn't it? So
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of skirted over the advantages of the game. We've spoken about what can be improved, but yeah, the product that they have in terms of a fantasy game is, it can be, it probably is already more engaging, more fun than FPL, which is a lot, a bigger game in
I think
terms of
it definitely
audience.
is. It definitely is.
Yeah, there's more to it. We haven't spoken about the boosts. It requires you to have more of a strategy, to plan your team a little bit more, especially around double game weeks. Although we might not get as many next season in a normal season, free of COVID, fingers crossed. But yeah, just the ability to boost your team from week to week and choose from a series of 6 boosts in a block of 15 fixtures is something completely new to a fantasy game. And it's really added a new dimension to playing fantasy, which is what we all enjoy in the community. And I've been a fan of FPL from when I was very young, from the age of about 12 or 13. I started playing FPL, and now 24. So I was a player of fantasy well before Gaffr, and I've taken to Gaffr so well because it's an improved game in terms of gameplay and strategy. It's just a more well-rounded game to play. So I've enjoyed it in that respect.
And you get a full set of fixtures on a Saturday as well. That's one of the things people really complain about with Premier League now. Obviously, COVID has made it worse, but it was still a complaint before that game weeks are too spread out in FPL. You only get maybe 2 or 3 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League on a Saturday, whereas in Gaffr, you maybe get a Friday night game and a Sunday game, and the other 10 fixtures are 3 o'clock on a Saturday. So that's the other great element of it. And then obviously the midweek you get a full set quite often as well.
I mean,
really love that aspect of it.
You can really throw yourself into it and become really engaged in the game from week to week, from game week to game week, should I say, with 2 game weeks per week. You find yourself very, even more engaged than you would be playing other fantasy games. And it obviously helps. We both support championship clubs, so we're going to follow the games more often than say fans of other clubs from outside the championship might be. But I still enjoy the game more than FPL, even with that. And I'd recommend it for any new anyone in the FPL community to give Gaffr a go next season, and join us in the community. And it is a great community. We've got a good group of people with Manon, the Fantasy Football Collective, and Champ Express. It's a very close knit community within Gaffr, and I've enjoyed throwing myself into it. There's also a lot of content providers, article writers like Joel and second tier scouts, second tier stats, and lots of others as well. I think Gaffr Guhi has started a new website. You've got lots of other new Gaffr websites cropping up here and there that I've seen recently. So I'm looking forward to the game and the community evolving and growing next season. So and hopefully we'll be able to carry on doing videos like this next season if time permits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely try and do that. Okay. Should we wrap it up? What do you think?
I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything within the game, haven't we, this season?
Right? I
Yeah,
think
I
so.
mean, there's not a lot more to say other than thank you, obviously, to the creators of the game, Joe, and the other name escapes my escapes my head at the moment. There's two guys that set up the website. Anyway, that we should congratulate for the work over the season.
Absolutely, yeah, it's great. I'm sure it'll be bigger next season. I'm definitely gonna try and get some more people to play it, because I just know people will enjoy it. So yeah, back next season in bigger numbers, I'm sure. Well, good luck with the last few weeks, Kyle. I'm sure you're going to finish in the top 50 somewhere, as high as possible, hopefully. And yeah, good luck for everybody else if you're pushing to win it, win your mini leagues or whatever. All the best for the last few weeks. We'll see you next season.
Cheers, Martin.
All right, cheers, Kyle.
Thanks for doing this, and hopefully I'll be able to hook up with you next season to do more Gaffr videos.
Absolutely. All right, I'll speak to you soon, buddy.
See you in a bit, mate.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.